Hello everyone! Welcome to your daily dose of World of Warships Legends shenanigans. I am, of course, your host, Phoenix61. Make sure to follow the channel. We have finally unlocked the Jinan, right? So I'm not cool enough to get early access to any ships or anything, right? So I did have to grind through the appropriate bureau project to unlock Jinan, and it's been fun thus far. I have only played a couple of games in it, but I wanted to get one out there on the YouTube's land to kind of give my feedback and opinions. I think you guys know how I feel, right? I've played the Sojong quite a bit, right? The tier 8 variant, right? The regular line, regular tech tree, whatever you want to call it, right? We do have another Sojong or another Jinan player up in front of us here, just randomly happened. I'm sure it's probably somebody else like similar to me where they were grinding through the project and just, recently got the ship, so they're excited to play with it. Right, so it's probably about that time, right? Somebody like a somewhat heavy player, right, that has, most of the commanders and ships that you need to, like, speed up the bureau, right? Like, they're probably going to start getting it right this week, right? Just as the next update hits, is when, it kind of is typical. I don't have to worry about hitting my destroyer player here, so we can fire torpedoes. They go right underneath him. See if we actually can witness this. Yep, so they go right through, which is... that's always kind of nice, right? And then there are some deep water torpedoes coming from somebody else on the other side. I almost got away from that one. And then, of course, by me trying to dodge it, we poked our butt out of the smoke screen and get picked up here. And by some sort of miracle, this Alaska was firing HE, so we don't die instantly here. Actually didn't, he must have fired behind us too, anticipating us to continue moving backwards, but once I got around that, once I took the torpedo hit, right, I started moving forward, so we might have been okay there, but yeah, it was, felt a little bit lucky to have gotten away with that without having to, without dying, right, from an AP shells from an Alaska. So early on in the game, right, we're 2 minutes in, could have been dead. But we're up to 25,000 damage. A few main battery hits. They don't do much, especially not the way that I build out these types of ships. You guys know me. I love me some meme torpedo build cruisers. Vampire 2 shows up here. We will focus on him for sure. Get rid of destroyers when the opportunity comes up. So he has pushed up just a little bit too much. And then we did get another torpedo hit on somebody else, right? This thing is the ridiculous amount of torpedoes that you can potentially send with this, right? So you get the torpedo reload booster charges. Now, granted, these take, the way I have this set up, right, it's taking over 3 minutes, right? I've already used one, and it's going to be more than 3 minutes for that next one to show up, right? So most of the time, you're kind of relying on, your regular reload, but... yes, 2 launchers of 5 torpedoes on each side of your ship. So 20 torpedoes can be loaded at a time, basically, is kind of how you look at that. And then if you use that reload booster, right, if you kind of manage, however you manage them, right, if you shoot all 4 racks of torpedoes fairly quickly, right, and then hit the reload booster, you've got a whole another 4 racks of, with 20 more, right? So the potential to send 40 deep water torpedoes towards the enemy is insanity in itself. I have built into those torpedoes as much as I possibly could as far as like concealment, reload time, and range. So I will absolutely go through the build at the end, but if you're familiar with my channel, you kind of know where I'm getting at with this, right? It's very much so a meme build. I don't have like any like crazy damage score in this game, right? It always takes, I don't know, sometimes with YouTube, it's like 1 in 10 games that I put up on the channel, right? Like, it's like, even if you've got wins, sometimes those are kind of boring wins. So I try to put the interesting games out there. Sometimes it just depends on how often I'm playing, right? But so this game does come down to the wire like crazy, like way more than I would have expected. So that kind of the last few seconds of this game end up being quite interesting. So we get picked up by the radar. Both Des Moines and the Soviet cruiser that's over there have the radar. Right, I think we're probably out of range of the Des Moines radar, so it was probably the Petro over here probably is what picked us up on radar. We know it's not going to last very long, so I dropped the smoke screen and figured, we've got 2 cruisers potentially being spotted. We'll drop our smoke and see if we can use the guns. Now, what you're going to notice here, especially with how I've built this, the guns kind of suck. Right, so most of the, yeah, 594 damage there for one pen, right? Like it's some of them are like 200, so, right? And granted, it's a Petro, it's pretty decent armor there, right? But yeah, like, so I've built so much into the torpedoes that sometimes the guns feel useless, but they do have decent, you know, with how many guns you have, the fire setting chances are there, right? So most of the time I'm just trying to trigger fires on people, right? So which is working fairly well on the Petro here. So we'll take advantage of that. He looks like he's going to keep backing up, and my smoke screen, of course, is not going to last forever. And so what I'm doing here is I'm kind of planning I'm in my head, I'm thinking of what's my next move, right? I've got 2 cruisers on the other flank, and actually I have a cruiser in our base that looks like he hasn't moved for a while, so I already have suspicions that he's gotten disconnected or quit or something, right? So, and then, you know, 2 battleships left on the enemy team, potentially over on that other flank by now as well, plus the cruiser, plus another destroyer, right? I think the last destroyer on their team is a Lucian, so that may have been who sent deep water torpedoes at us originally, that we took that first hit, right? But between our 3 torpedo hits and our 8 fires here, we are up to 82,000 damage. We've got 3 fisted medals and a kill, right? But yeah, my assumption here is that you know, looking at the board, looking at how many ships are left, looking at where people's last locations were, I don't think we need to go 3-on-1 on this Petro, right? So I'm kind of like, all right, you know, my teammates are probably going to do the normal, you know, average player thing, chase down the nearest ship, right? So I'm going to start heading towards our zone because I know it's going to need some defending sooner or later. At about 1.5 minutes for my regular reload time on these torpedoes, right? So I'm sending some through the middle there, kind of just thinking maybe one of those battleships or cruisers, you know, could potentially come through the middle. And then I'm going to start turning back towards our base and head up towards the base because I know it's going to need defending here at some point, right? We're about halfway through the game, maybe a little bit more, depending on, you know, how you look at it. Time-wise, yeah, halfway through, but if people start dying quickly, it's going to end sooner, right? And just look how floaty these bullets are, right? Like, they're just now falling on Spectra, right? So trying to hit something at range, especially a destroyer, cruiser that's moving quick, is yeah, pretty tough. So my preference was to build into the torpedoes. I like to have a little bit of fun there. It may or may not be, it's probably not the best way. But if you're going for consistency, it's probably not the best way to build the ship out, right? But this is how I have the most fun playing it, is full on all torpedoes all the time. So that's what we've done. And yes, you can see our cruiser player that's been in our zone is frozen there. I was just kind of looking through the middle there, just because I think it was like a Conqueror or something, there was one more battleship that was kind of last spotted off in that direction, and so I was like, do I send torpedoes or not? Yeah, but we've got a what is this, the Golden Lion, right? The Gudanlu or whatever, right? This cruiser, right? Obviously not playing, AFK player, something happened, got disconnected, whatever. So I'm gonna you know, get you know, these guys might not know I'm here, right? We've got decent concealment here, so I'm gonna start sending thorpedos, and we're gonna get turned here, and the Henry the Fourth is gonna keep coming, right? So he's gonna keep coming this way. They're picking on my player that's obviously not there. So I'll use my AFK player to spot for a little bit. We'll drop the smoke, get the torpedoes going, see if we can trigger fires on these guys, right? So, but he's not going to last long. He's not even moving. He's an easy target, right? So our ally is there, right? So we'll use the spotting while it's there, and then we used our last torpedo reload booster. This is why I don't go like fully packed or build into the torpedo reload booster, because, you know, because of how long that cooldown is for it anyway. It's hard, you know, if you stack on that and get up to like 3 or 4 torpedo reload boosters, it's tough to get through all of them in one game. So my preference was, you know, well, I'll show you the build, but I'm going for more like torp concealment and speed and range, right? Versus like reload and how many torpedoes I can send, right? So I mean, reload's in there too, right? But as you can see, yes, we used the reload booster, and there is you know, half the map is covered in deep water torpedoes at this point. And then we know that it's a Lucian because, well, we're getting sonared, and I know that there is I think it's a Yamato out there, right, that I'm trying to torpedo. The downfall here is this Lucian is probably picking up all these torpedoes for this Yamato, right? So they're probably, all my torpedoes are probably getting spotted because this Lucian's got sonar going, right? But he sonared and smoked, and if I can get just the right distance away, I can get away from sort of our smoke firing penalty spotted range, and hopefully go undetected here and be far enough out that his sonar's not picking us up, right? So there's the sweet spot potentially. But yeah, you can see my torpedoes aren't going to hit him, right? The deep water torpedoes can't hit the destroyers. They'll go right under. And then since we get spotted here, I'm assuming he poked his nose out of the smoke. I'm going to turn in and hope we don't get whooped by Yamato guns. He gets himself spotted here. We'll take the shot. And then we need to push in on him. Right now, I am keeping an eye on the score. Since somebody is in our zone, we do not get the +2 points every few seconds or whatever, right? So if you look at the top, every once in a while, you can see the red team's getting a +2, and we are not. It's because somebody is in our zone, right? So that hurts a little bit there. And then the fact that we're even on ships, right? So we have the potential to be down on points even if we get rid of just one of these ships, right? So at this point, I'm like, all right, I have to be aggressive. I have to push up. I have to get rid of one, possibly two ships to put us over and get these guys out of our zone, right? To get us over the top on points. If the Yamato keeps pushing up, he's going to be easy because we could send deep water torpedoes at him and that we can probably get rid of him all in one fell swoop. We've got torps ready on the starboard side. That is perfect. The Lucian's going to be our problem, our biggest problem, right? You know, as long as the Yamato doesn't get guns on us, right, we should be able to, we should be fine there. It does look like he's looking, we get a little lucky here, it does look like he's looking at our battleship and kind of forgot about us. So we'll send the torpedoes. I don't even know if we needed both racks. I'm going to focus the guns on the Lucian. He's the one that I know we're not going to be able to, it's going to be a little tougher to kill, but yeah. 4 of those torpedoes finished him off, so I didn't even need to send the second rack. The challenge here with the Lucian is he's going to be stubborn and stick in the zone. So now you can see, right, we're at 381 points to 433 points. I need to kill at least him to pull off the win. We are at 3 kills, 150,000 damage. Right, but I need to get rid of at least him. So I don't know where that last battleship went is the frustrating thing. I was kind of hoping he'd be up here as well, and we'd be able to play with him as well. But we can see that the zone is still contested. It still says contested. So we're going to just push up on him. We get the little located icon, right? That just means that we are the closest person to the Lucian, right? We are the closest blue team person to the Lucian. You know, if people like kind of live in, yes, of course, he's got deep water torpedoes. You see how close those got to us before we spotted them, right? So we're pointing in. Since we're pushing in towards him, they are a little bit easier to dodge. You just kind of got to thread the needle there. Where versus if you're broadside, right, you're going to take, you know, it's a little bit tougher, right? So we know he's got those, so we're pushing up, and we are located, right, we're the closest one to him. And I'm sitting here just, as I'm just looking at the time, and I'm looking at the points situation. I'm like, man, he needs to get spotted, or that Conqueror needs to come around the corner and I can send torpedoes, right? Or something, right? So we're going to keep pushing up. If he's moving backwards, right? If he managed to get himself turned around, which is probably what I would have done if I was in the smoke, right? Use the smoke screen to get yourself turned around and run away because you're up on points. He might be long gone and way around the corner, but what ends up happening here, so I send torpedoes to, like, right, I'm kind of thinking, like, there's a minute left. If that Conqueror's out there somewhere, right, like, there's going to be a time gap between when torpedoes actually get to him. But Lucian, we managed to spot. He was doing the right thing, right, trying to back up and stay out of view, but it just, it just didn't quite make it. You can't go as fast backwards, I guess, right? But that gives us 4 kills, and then there is the Conqueror, full health. I've only got 30 seconds left. We are going to do the smart thing and just not get spotted here, right? Don't fire the guns. We can't, yeah. But we just barely, right, we're like 5 or 6 points ahead or something here. 8 maybe-ish, right, depending on how the timer's ticking, right? But once that Lucian left the zone, we started evening out, right, on the points, right? We were getting 2+ every few seconds, and so were they. So it was just barely enough of a point swing to finish off the destroyer and get us over the top. Yes, about 7 points ahead for the win on that one. So fairly decent, entertaining game for our first Jinan game. Like I said, I think this was like my second game that I had played. Right, I'll obviously be playing it more, but yeah, was the second game I played. So, but yeah, 2900 XP did put us at the top of the board. Of course, this was from yeah, I think this was Friday last week. I did this recording, right? So we were still plowing, we were still over pushing through the campaign and getting some silver or getting some steel there, right? I did put a legendary mod on the torpedoes for that one. Base trait is more fire chance and more flood chance, which I love for this Agiline Harbin. This is one that I did pick her up, right? It's a paid Agiline commander, was 5,000 doubloons. Mostly because like I typically what I say is if it's a ship type that you like a lot and it's for a country that you like a lot, right? Like then I feel like it's worth picking up the paid commanders. But as you can see, she's full on meme torpedo build here, right? All more range, more reload, better reload time, everything torpedoes all the way through. This one even takes the detectability of your torpedoes down. I don't have her maxed out, obviously, so it can get a little bit better. She's got this other perk here that's kind of cool as well, but I think I've been playing with both, right? As I had so junks, and I think I like the one that takes away the detectability, right? Makes your torpedoes more stealthy, and then killing distance makes them even more stealthy, right? And I don't have that all the way upgraded either. So I was looking at the specs, right? I'm like, okay, what's my torpedoes at, right? So torpedo detectability range by sea 0.5 kilometers. That is a skinny margin for someone to try and find torpedoes, right? So sonar is almost a must going up against this guy, right? But since I still didn't have everything maxed out, right, I'm thinking we can get it down to probably 0.4 kilometer detectability for the torpedoes, right? And that's just like no time at all for people without sonar to react to torpedoes. But that is going to do it for our first Jinan game. I will definitely be having fun with this ship for at least for the near future here, right, while we go through the next update. But yeah, thanks for watching my video all the way through. Please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I really do appreciate that. I'm still kind of a smaller channel, so I do notice one or two new people showing up and hanging out with us. And then we do occasionally live stream as well. I don't have a set schedule, so make sure you push the bell, and then you can see when we're on live stream. Thanks again, guys.